Emily had always lived her life by her own set of rules. Outwardly, she was the picture of sophistication and moral superiority. She dressed impeccably, held a respectable job as a magazine editor, and maintained a spotless apartment in the city. Her boyfriend, James, was the epitome of loyalty and devotion, always there to support her and shower her with affection. But behind the polished facade, Emily harbored a secret life full of infidelity and judgment. Emily's days were spent meticulously curating her public persona. She took pride in her ability to present herself as an upstanding citizen, always quick to criticize others for their perceived shortcomings. She'd scornfully gossip about her colleagues' messy relationships, look down upon her friends for their choices, and disparage strangers for their appearance or behavior. Her nights, however, told a different story. Emily had a habit of seeking out excitement in the arms of other men. Each affair was a thrill, a fleeting moment of passion that made her feel alive in ways her relationship with James never could. She justified her actions by convincing herself that she was too complex for a single man to satisfy, and besides, no one would ever find out. One evening, after yet another secret rendezvous, Emily returned home to find James waiting for her with a concerned look on his face. He had been worried about her late nights and evasive answers, but Emily brushed him off with a dismissive wave of her hand, claiming she had been working late. James, ever trusting, accepted her explanation with a heavy heart. As she drifted off to sleep that night, Emily felt a nagging sense of guilt. But she quickly pushed it aside, confident in her ability to control her double life. Little did she know that her actions were about to catch up with her in the most unexpected way. The next morning, Emily woke up feeling strangely disoriented. Her bedroom looked different, more drab and lifeless than usual. The walls were a dull gray, and the furniture seemed old and worn. She reached for her phone but found it missing. Panic set in as she realized that she wasn't in her apartment. She stumbled out of bed and rushed to the door, only to find it locked from the outside. "Hello," she called out, her voice echoing in the empty space. "Is anyone there?" There was no response. Emily's heart pounded in her chest as she searched the room for a way out. She found a small window, but it was barred shut, allowing only a sliver of light to seep through. As she peered outside, she saw a desolate landscape stretching out before her, a barren wasteland devoid of life. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the room, startling her. "Welcome, Emily." She spun around, searching for the source, but saw no one. "Who's there?" she demanded, her voice trembling. "I am the keeper of this place," the voice replied, calm and indifferent. "You have been brought here to atone for your sins." Emily's mind raced. "What are you talking about? Where am I?" "You are in purgatory," the voice said. "A place where souls must confront the consequences of their actions in life. You have been judged and found wanting." Emily's blood ran cold. "This is a joke, right? Some kind of prank?" "This is no prank, Emily," the voice continued. "Your life was filled with deceit and hypocrisy. You judged others while engaging in the very behavior you condemned. Now, you must face the truth." As the voice faded, the room began to shift and change. The walls melted away, revealing a series of scenes playing out before her eyes. She saw herself in various moments of her life, lying to James, mocking her friends, and sneaking around with other men. Each scene was a stark reminder of her betrayals and the pain she had caused. Emily tried to look away, but an unseen force held her gaze. She was forced to relive every lie, every cruel word, and every act of infidelity. The weight of her actions pressed down on her, suffocating her with guilt and regret. The scenes faded, and Emily found herself standing in a dark, featureless void. She felt a presence behind her and turned to see a figure emerging from the shadows. It was James, his face a mixture of sadness and disappointment. "James," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you." James looked at her with sorrowful eyes. "You took advantage of my love and trust, Emily. You thought you could get away with it, but now you must face the consequences." Before she could respond, James vanished, leaving her alone in the darkness. The voice returned, its tone more stern than before. You will remain here, reliving your transgressions, until you truly understand the pain you have caused. Desperate to escape, Emily ran through the void, but no matter how far she went, the scenes of her past continued to play out around her. She saw the faces of those she had wronged, their expressions etched with hurt and betrayal. She heard their voices, filled with anguish and disappointment. Time lost all meaning in purgatory. Days, weeks, and months blurred together as Emily was forced to confront the truth of her actions. The weight of her sins bore down on her, stripping away her facade of superiority and leaving her exposed and vulnerable. One day, as she sat in the darkness, exhausted and broken, she heard a familiar voice. It was James, but this time, his tone was cold and unforgiving. "Emily," he said, his voice devoid of warmth. "You will never be free. This is your punishment for a lifetime of deceit and hypocrisy." She looked up, her eyes red and swollen from crying. "Please, James," she pleaded. "I can't do this anymore." James's face twisted into a cruel smile. "You made your choices, Emily. Now you must live with them." As he spoke, the darkness around her grew thicker, the scenes of her past more vivid and torturous. She was trapped in an endless cycle of guilt and remorse, unable to escape the consequences of her actions. Emily realized with a sinking heart that there would be no redemption for her. She was doomed to spend eternity in purgatory, reliving her sins and the pain she had caused. The facade she had carefully constructed in life had crumbled, leaving her to face the harsh reality of her true self. And so, Emily remained in the darkness, her cries for mercy echoing through the void, unheard and unanswered. Her existence became an unending nightmare, a punishment fitting for a life built on lies and hypocrisy.